me today. I've had 2 clients. One of them was a wonderful freaking goddess herself who just really doesn't need a reading. Sometimes I think people just need acknowledgement and understanding that they're going in the right direction and that the things that they're doing are in alignment, but they don't really need like an hour reading. And so that was what she was. The second girl I sent to you, and I was like, I just didn't feel like she needed me. We still channeled grandma because grandma was awesome. But at the same time, I was like, I feel like you need to like some more intuition stuff when it comes to where you're going on your path and direction, because there's been a lot of stuff that's happened to her over the last couple years, and there's a lot of healing coming to the surface. And I've learned my gifts in a different way, that like they separate my stuff for me. So if somebody comes to me for a reading but they really need a healing, spirit's like, nope, we're going to do this the right way, reschedule them. And so we have to do the healing first. Specifically, if people have gifts, they really like to get that healing in first.
Hmm.
That's been my Monday.
It's a good Monday. It's been interesting because we're in this Cancer new moon energy. It's a double Cancer new moon, and it's all about showing up for ourselves in authenticity, allowing ourselves to be a little bit more emotional and vulnerable right now. Sometimes looking at a little bit, it's a nice time to look at some patterns that you may have picked up from your parents or conditioning and go back and clear that out. And so it's kind of a watery new moon energy. And then today we're actually in a void too. So it's very like much an opportunity for us to feel a little maybe like down or have less energy or feel like things aren't quite in place or you don't know what's going to happen when, a little more watery, and an opportunity for us to basically like that's I feel like our opportunities to time hop a lot because we get to be like, all right, I have no other option but to surrender right now and like let whatever flows in and see if I want to show up for it or how I want to show up for it. And so we're having a very interesting day. But yeah, there's just been a lot of themes. I've had wonderful clients so far today too. And like you were saying, it's for my sessions, I'm an intuitive ascension guide. So what that means is I connect usually with your higher self, an angel team, make sense of what's going on now and why for your path. Sometimes I'll get past life flashbacks or karmic ties or certain things. We can always ask the angels specific questions, but most of the time it's just like your angels are kind of your biggest cheerleaders, and they're there to help you make the most of this experience that you're having now in this lifetime and find the most peace that you can at this time and tune into yourself. Most people wake up every day kind of wanting to be a little bit of a better version of themselves, wanting to feel more healed, wanting to embrace more peace and joy and happiness. And so we do that. And like you were saying, sometimes it's intense. Sometimes we got to do some shadow work or look at some old wounding and clear it out and whatnot. But a lot of times it's nice to just hold soul space and like have your angels come in or your team come in and be your cheerleaders and let you know that you're on the right path and you're doing okay. And like, a lot of times when we get those confirmations, it's because like you drank enough water that day or you took some breaths or threw some rocks in the woods when you were pissed off or whatever it is. And then, your angels will communicate with you more. Oh, we got some people coming in. Hi, Mandy. Hi, Pam. Hi, Christy.
Oh, I didn't even see all of them. Hi, ladies. I saw Mandy come up, and that was the only one I saw.
Tina.
Hi, Tina. Yes, it was funny because today I was like, okay, so there's obviously, we talk a lot about how Crystal doesn't read books or have the knowledge that Mandy has. We talk a lot about that because my guides don't allow me to read the nonsense, but I receive stuff anyway. And so today I knew it was a moment for Crystal to reflect, understand, and kind of just be in the moment with myself. And so I took some time, I meditated. I feel really good. I don't feel like crappy. I don't feel like anything's wrong. I just feel like today is today, and I'm allowing it to flow. Today is today, and I feel like it's actually a pretty good day. I feel like overall today's a good Monday, which is weird. I love Mondays
like
anyway because they're the start of the new week. I love that. But I'm starting to do different things and change paths and adding and taking away a lot of stuff in my own life. So it's kind of fun once you start to process and evolve yourself. It's really kind of fun when you get those clients or those people who are also starting to process and evolve, and it's just kind of sitting there with them sometimes. Also, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. I'm in my house today and my dog's being crazy. He's running around right now. He's doing zoomies. So I apologize if he gets loud and obnoxious to everybody.
He's probably just channeling some shamanic energy and clearing the space. It's kind of funny. A lot of times you'll notice, like, when you feel like you're in an intense conversation or something, or there's stress, and then all of a sudden, like, the dog barks, or, something falls in the kitchen, or a door slams. A lot of times it's kind of the universe and our angels coming in to break up
I
the
know.
space. And, like, one way you can disrupt your own energy when you're feeling that, if you don't have sage on you, is to snap a little bit or to do some claps, like, all around you. And it helps to break up some of that space. So dogs and children are huge helpers in that realm.
You say that. I feel like you can have my dog for a week. I think he's got separation anxiety. So when I'm in the house and not paying attention to him, he's like, "Mom." But yes, he's zooming. He's trying to get me to play with him right now, and I'm like, "Okay, Rox, this is he must be feeling all the energy from what everything is going on." But he's such a baby. He's such a toddler. I love him to pieces. Who needs another child in the house when you have Rocky for the dog?
There you go. There you go. We've got a few more people hopping on too. Angela, Jennifer, Stephanie, hello. We're so excited you are here. Crystal,
Oh,
were there any topics or anything rising you want to talk
um,
about?
not necessarily. Usually, when we come together, I have stuff that comes to the surface. Today, it's just kind of like organic conversations. I was like, okay, let's just hold space with each other, see what's going on. I don't know, collective consciousnessly. I just feel like everybody's in a moment of growth, self reflection, understanding, a little bit of peace, a little bit of jazz, a little bit of like shaking off some old cobwebby type stuff. But I just feel like everything today is like in a good space. I don't know. And so there's not really much that's come to the surface over the weekend for me, other than your surfboards, by the way. Um, I cannot even tell you how freaking beautiful those things are. Our surfboards usually hand painted.
Ours is too. Yeah, we have a beautiful friend who connected us with another new beautiful friend who creates custom surfboards. And so the artist right now, our featured artist of Sea Goddess Healing Arts, Michelle Franzoni, painted an original painting on it on the front and on the back, and then we covered it with tons of glitter and all kinds of stuff, which I guess is pretty hard when you're creating a surfboard. So that's exciting. And yeah, we're really excited about it. And it's going to be nice. I think it's going to end up being a bit more of a decorative board than one we use.
Ah,
And one that maybe people take pictures with and whatnot. But
oh,
it's just
our
really cool to
rock
co-create.
star.
I've never been involved in an experience like that where I got to learn how to make a surfboard. So that was pretty cool. So if you're just tuning in on Sea Goddess Healing Arts, if you check us out on Facebook, there's a bunch of videos there of us creating the surfboard. And we had our new friend Jim shifted it and created it and built it. And then we painted it and helped seal it up with some things. So it's a pretty neat process to check out.
I thought it was pretty awesome. I was watching the process and I was like, "Holy cow." I first off, I didn't know how surfboards I know nothing about surfboards. I live in Michigan. I knew nothing about how these things were created. When I saw her hand painting that, I was like, "Holy cow." Because I thought like, usually in like maybe factory settings, there'd be like, this thing that they just put on it and then they maybe epoxy it. I don't know what they do. But then I'm seeing her hand paint this thing. I'm like, "Holy involved." But it was so beautiful in the process, and watching you guys create that was such a neat process. I commend all of you ladies. It looked like it was such a cool thing for you to do, but it turned out beautiful. It turned out absolutely. The pictures I feel like don't do it as much justice as it needs because of the sparkles, but
Right.
it's beautiful. And if you guys haven't checked out their Facebook page, you probably should, because it's wonderful watching their stuff.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, it'll be pretty neat, and it's going into finishing now, so it's getting some more layers and gonna be sanded up and whatnot, and then we'll put on all kinds of awesome videos and pictures of all the sparkles once it's all done.
Love it. Awesome. Well, yeah, so that's pretty much my thing. The only thing I had to talk about was your awesome surfboard, because I saw that and I was like, "Holy cow, this is the coolest." I didn't know if anybody was actually going to be like selling that and using it, but at the same time I was like, "This is the coolest thing I've ever seen." So,
We might create like a little custom surfboard shop out of it. We'll see. This was the first one, and our friend Jim just started his business, Keating Custom Surfboards, and so there's there's potential of that. We'll see what the interest looks like, but we might end up doing that a little bit. And a personal goal of mine is to learn how to surf this summer. I was always growing up, I was an avid snowboarder, and I taught and coached snowboarding for about 10 years. Then I went through all my trauma and drama and dark nights of the soul and broke my back a few times and my feet and my ankles and all that stuff. And now I'm pretty healed up and I can snowboard again. And so this summer, I want to learn how to surf. I grew up near the beach, but I have never learned how to surf. And I can boogie board and I can body surf, but it's time to actually surf. So we're just hoping that with Sea
Oh,
Goddess, we ride the waves of the soul, and we're hoping that adding in, adding in the Sea Goddess surfing is just going to help inspire people to get out there and use their beautiful bodies and not give a shit what anybody thinks about them, and give something fun to try and like learn literally how to ride a wave. So it's an exciting new project and chapter, and we're excited about it.
absolutely awesome. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. Do you have anything you want to discuss, talk about, topics, fun stuff, neat stuff that's happened?
Neat stuff that's happened. I don't have anything in particular other than this topic of like authenticity and what it means to be authentic in the moment and like sit with yourself in that and like actually let yourself just be who you are. I think a lot of people are trying to practice embodiment right now and embodying just who they are in the present moment and accepting that that can change at any time as well, and meeting yourself with forgiveness. I'm noticing a lot of that energy going on with a lot of people right now, and it can be a little uncomfortable or strange or weird, like you were saying, like I think you were saying it earlier, and just like adjusting into peace and like not surviving all the time, but like learning how to actually thrive and be present. Have you been noticing that coming up, the authenticity?
Absolutely. Absolutely. With clients and myself. I mean, and that's how collective consciousness works. I feel like I kind of I don't know. I don't know where I am on all of this stuff, but at the same time, when clients go through stuff, it's usually something that I myself have either already went through or it's something that I'm going through myself. And that's kind of what it is. That's where it rides. And so I think a lot of people right now are just trying to determine what boundaries are good boundaries, like trying to really decipher if things are good, bad, indifferent, or needed within themselves,
Mm,
and finding what that like authentic feeling means. Like when we get something from above that pushes us to kind of be a little snarky or a little bit pushy or be like, hey, that's not going to work for me. Cool for you, but not going to work for me. Sometimes we tend to look at that and beat ourselves up about it a little bit. And so it's funny, I see a lot of my clients that are going through that too. And it's like, yeah, sometimes we can be a little bit bitter and a little bit like about things, but that's also warranted sometimes, specifically when, it just seems to flow differently. How am I going to put this? I just had this conversation last night with Ben. Just talked about this. Thank you. That's how I'll give it. I'll talk about myself because apparently I'm really good at that.
and
Last
it's
night when I was
rising
talking
for
to
everyone
him,
right now. It's like the energy, you're not alone.
I was like, when I was talking to him last night, I was like, there are some times in life where things just seem to flow out of my mouth, where I'm generally somebody who doesn't always know what to say. I sometimes hold myself back. I'm really uncomfortable in crappy situations. I hate conflict. There's all these things, but sometimes, like, there were a couple times in my life where I was beat, almost like in school. I brought up there was this boy that was picking on me in a class, and he thought he had got me in front of everybody, and like was kind of, I don't want to say making fun of me, but he was making fun of me. And in that moment, this hellfire just channeled from me and like demolished his manhood to that big. And everybody was like, whoa, like where the hell did that come from? And sometimes when I reflect on those things, I'm like, okay, it happened for a good reason, to kind of put him in his place and let him know he wasn't doing anything to me. Like what he was saying had, I don't care what you say about me, bro, but this is what I see in you, and this is the reason you're doing it, because you're really just a little person. But that's something that never would come out of my mouth. And so I feel like people right now on their own journeys are really trying to decipher, because we all kind of understand, if you're on the journey, that the reflection is something you really have to look at. You really have to fine tune yourself and be sick of your own crap before you can even attempt to help others with theirs. And so sometimes I have a hard time deciphering if it was good spirit, if it was bad spirit, if it was for the highest good, if it wasn't, if I was being mean, if I was being this, is this, or if it's this. So it's a lot of back and forth for us right now in trying to, I think, determine what feels right and what doesn't, and how do we know? Because there's a lot of things that feel right to me, but I'm also looking at it going, damn, that was probably really mean, but it still felt right. And so, is it something that needs to be said, or is it something I should have shut my mouth with? Was it for the higher good, or because I think a lot of people, and you can, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but as we get further along in our paths and journeys, things tend to come up more. There's more ruffling underneath our feet to break apart some of those old things that we've dealt with or maybe didn't deal with or swept under the rug. And so there's a lot more that comes to the surface for us that's there to kind of knock us on our butt and hold us accountable and or be like, okay, this is a boundary and I'm growing and this is what I'm doing. You're not taking me off my path. And so I know with me personally, you know my story, you know what's going on in my life. There's like a lot of narcissism coming to the surface around me and I'm like, "Whoa," because first off, we've already talked about it. Crystal knows she has narcissistic tendencies. I know who I am, I know what I've done, I know where I am. And so it's one of those things. It's like, okay, we got to take the good, we got to take the bad, and we just have to roll with it and we have to sit with it for what it needs to be sat with and just kind of dissolve the rest. I'm just getting in a good place myself with being like, oh, okay, this is what it is, push it away. But then there are other days where I'm like, hold up, bro, that's not going to work for me. And this is why it's not going to work for me. And then those days we have to kind of still stay within balance and keep ourselves in check and understand that we're doing it for good reasons, or maybe we're not, and maybe we need to fine tune the message that we're giving to other people.
I love that. And it's true. And I think for me, you feel it. You feel what, like afterwards, after you had an experience and say, like, you didn't show your best side and maybe you did get in a fight with someone or something. Afterwards, if you made a point that was potent and powerful and meant to help your truth and energetically clear you, you feel a little better.
Mm-hmm.
If you did it and you were just being an asshole or a bitch or whatever, you kind of feel shitty after, and it will resonate with you right away. And because we can't all always just be sunshine and rainbows and peace as much as we want to, as much as possible. We're all merely humans and doing our best. And sometimes, I use this example all the time, but like if I see somebody kicking a puppy down the street, like I'm going to say something. And I'm probably going to get mad at that. And I might not fully attack them or obliterate them or whatever, but I might be like, that's like not appropriate, not okay.
Right.
It all just depends. It all just depends on how you choose to engage with certain situations.
It's really funny. I don't know. I don't say funny like as in ha ha ha. It's funny. It's just really funny how we try to deeper get to know ourselves. And sometimes I think we hop too far in. And so it's like constant self-reflection instead of just living in the moment and letting life go. Like let life happen. Just let life happen. Because yes, we're going to grow regardless of whether or not we're constantly in tune with ourselves, or like not in tune with ourselves, but constantly reflecting internally about everything we do, everything we say, every move we make. Just let yourself be. Stop being so hard on yourself. You give everybody else the room to grow, give yourself the room to grow and be cool too. Just like patience, give yourself the patience. And I think that's what a lot of people are not necessarily doing right now, is giving themselves the patience to grow and just be like, take a deep breath. It's cool. Could I said it differently? Probably. But at the same time, like I said, it always feels good after it comes out. And that's when I'm like, yeah, but that was a little harsh. Okay, maybe it was harsh, but maybe they also needed to hear it. And if they didn't, well, that's my karma that I have to figure out in the next life.
And that's just it. If you find out, like, okay, you know what, like I was shitty, I could have done better, that kind of thing. You take a breath. If you need to make an amends, if you were really, if you need to make amends with whoever it was. If you were out of line, that's important too. Like to take accountability for ourselves and be like, you know what? Like I'm sorry. Like I triggered, I spun out, like I did not act like my best self, and I'm sorry for that. And I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. Ho'oponopono. I think Ho'oponopono. I always mess that up. but especially with yourself, because that's what keeps us all up at night. You wake up thinking about, oh my God, I did this to Susie so and so in third grade, and like things will come up and haunt us. And so it's important to take a few breaths and forgive yourself and just say, for me, I'm Mandy. So I would just say, Mandy, you did the best you could in that moment. And you were merely a human and you were reacting. And it's okay to forgive yourself. And it's okay to learn and not present that behavior in the future, because that just doesn't, show the best version of you, or share. It's more, instead of show, it's more share. It's like, what energy do you want to share in the world? What kind of frequency do you want to put out there? If you just want to walk around in a shitstorm all day, like, that's what's going to project outside of you. And then that's what's going to co-create and come back into your vortex. So it's super important. But then to honor yourself with the ease and the grace. Oh, and someone said patience. Hello. I'm so excited. There's so many people here right now.
I know.
If you guys have any questions or anything you want us to talk about, we'll definitely pull some cards too. But right now, we're just kind of holding the space with what this
I
new
brought mine.
energy looks like. You did.
I did. Okay, so I'm going to tell you, I gave these to my son because he is so awesome at tarot cards. But I was like, hey, let me see those so I can show people those. And then I also have these ones. I love these people. I love this woman. Kim Kranz is who creates these. And I just love the raw nature of these things. They're absolutely beautiful and stunning. So it's awesome.
Oh, fantastic.
And Pammy, I have to respond to that because you do so good in life. I really think that you do so good in life, and I think that you need to really give yourself a pat on the back because y'all have been you have been through a lot of stuff. You have been through a lot of stuff, and there are a lot of changes circulating in your life right now, and I just feel like almost everything is going to start to like unfold for you in the next couple years, and I really think that you're going to start kind of receiving the benefits from all of that clearing that you yourself have done over the last few years. Because holy Pete, talk about somebody who is a gracious, wonderful person that has issues with things surrounding family circle cycles and dramas and stuff like that. Very, very much so. And so there's a lot of energies breaking up with you right now, and you're doing a great job, Pam.
You really are. And I love what you said. Like, you're literally just letting life happen right now. There's a dance. Like, it's important to release as much control as we can about the outside things that could happen or are going to happen. And at the same time, just do what we can to control ourselves, for us, and what we talk about all the time on Sea Goddess and here with Crystal and I, it's just like practicing your own medicines and showing up. And like, I was talking to a client earlier today about what the definition of successful is and what that looks like. For me, a lot of times it's when I wake up, I do my gratitudes, I thank my angels, I drink my juice, I do my yoga, I show up in meditation. I let myself read or learn or co-create. I clean my room and, do my laundry and do the things that, I need to do to keep me on balance for myself, making choices that are going to keep helping co-create the life that I'm wanting or that I'm calling in. That's when I feel like I'm being successful. And so it's all different for each person. But when you start to follow kind of the whispers of your soul and what it wants most and what your heartstrings pulling forward, then a lot of times the noise, the things that aren't serving you anymore will slowly fall away. And that can be painful. And that's where the patience and the grace and the ease comes in, because it's really hard to step into that, like, I don't give a fuck what you think attitude. But it's so important at the same time. And it's not saying you don't care. That's the thing. It's saying, you know what? I care enough about myself. I'm going to be responsible for my own energy. And I'm also going to be responsible for what I allow to impact me. And it's not an easy thing, and it turns into kind of one big moving prayer. And you do your best to show up, but then also to trust in your higher self and the angels and the universe.
I just this weekend had something because I really have a hard time like allowing myself to see my own success. I don't take the time. There's this song by AJR. I love this band. They're so cute. But it's called The Next Best Thing. And it's talking about all the anxiety that he has in creating what he's already created because he's always looking towards the next best thing. I was like, ugh, that song speaks to my soul because sometimes we're just constantly on ourselves that we don't take enough time to just sit, reflect, and breathe, just like be. And I was in the car and I was like, holy shit, Crystal. Like, excuse my French to everybody who doesn't like swears, but holy shit, because I have, from the time that I first created my business until today, I used to have like only 2 clients a week when I first created this. And so I keep creating success. I like want success, but how I see success is a little construed because you know what I mean. We've talked about what I'm creating. It's a little construed. It's not what everybody else thinks success is. But from the time I started until this time, it literally was down upon me. And my guides were like, yo, reflect on this because 5 years ago, you were not here. You have people who you're scheduled out 3 months right now. That is freaking phenomenal, specifically for where I'm located and what's going on. And like, the situations that are Charlotte, Michigan, that's pretty phenomenal for
It's
me
amazing. I can't
specifically
say that.
to be there. And it's like it just downloaded and I smiled in that moment and Ben was like, What are you thinking?" He was like, "You look like you're reflecting on something." I was like, I literally just saw for the first time since 2012 how much work and how much growth I've done. Instead of constantly like, "Okay, Crystal, do this better, do this better, do this better. We've got to do this, we've got to build this, we've got to get this done." I just was able to sit in the car and reflect for a moment on just how much I've grown myself and also how much I've helped other people in growing because I don't necessarily reflect on that. It's like one person after another sometimes, and it's like I don't reflect on how that interaction um, carries out through their day or their life or their existence. And I'm sure, I mean, like you reflect so nicely and sweetly with yourself. I'm sure you do that, but sometimes we're a little bit humble in the sense that we don't necessarily sit and see what we've done to help create and put better spaces out there for other
When are we
people.
ever
And so
taught to? When are we taught to take a break and take a reflection on our lives?
never,
When are we
never.
taught that it's okay to breathe it all in and to absorb the sweetness? We're all learning this together right now. We haven't been
Yeah,
taught.
I just feel like all of you out there, if you are also in that space and it's like a rut, take a moment and reflect where you were like 2 years ago, 5 years ago. Reflect on that, whether it's been physical, emotional, mental, um, health changes. It doesn't matter what it is. Like reflect on that and take a moment for yourself and really allow yourself to feel that because them forcing me to feel that just meant the whole world to me that day. It was just like, wow, Crystal, like, holy shit, you are awesome. Like, congratulations, girl. You're doing something with yourself because I haven't felt that way ever. Like, since I've started this, it hasn't felt like that because it's been dealing with one thing after another. There's been a lot that's happened in the course of, the last 8 years of my life. So it's been a whole lot. And I think that that's kind of important for what my clients, your clients, every person on the planet's going through is just to take a time to reflect. Sometimes it's a time to move in life, and sometimes it's just a time to stop and reflect and see where you're at, feel where you're at, and allow yourself to reflect with what you've had in the past, how that makes you feel, and also what you want to change going forward. And that's kind of what puts us in the process of that.
Yes. I love this. Oh, it looks like we have a comment.
I muted that guy. He
Okay,
was giving
perfect.
he was giving a reading for our clients, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, that's cool that we can mute
stop
that. So
poaching
yeah,
people.
if you're jumping on, welcome. Crystal and I, we work very authentically in our path. And if you want a reading, it's important to reach out to us and to ask. We would never just offer a reading to someone or automatically read someone without their permission or asking them. And so we have someone who keeps commenting who's trying to further their own business and also give readings without permissions. So yeah, we don't really do that. But if you are interested, reach out to Crystal and I, and we will be there for you. There is another one. So part of what you were saying, I grabbed one of my favorite books, which is Light is the New Black by Rebecca Campbell, one of my favorite teachers, because sometimes we do hit rock bottom. And sometimes right now what we're doing is we're trying to figure out how the heck to get out of it. And when we look at the past, we're not like, oh my God, I've grown. We're like, oh my gosh, I've tumbled, or it feels that way. And so I want to just read a poem real quick. That's one of my favorites because it helps you to understand the spiritual side of rock bottom and why that happens for us sometimes in order to change our path. So it says, I pray that you hit rock bottom. I pray you hit rock bottom, the most painful time in your life. I pray that you feel alone, isolated, and deserted. And you discover that what you thought was rock bottom is actually a ledge. So you come crashing down even further. And as you land, you are cracked open into a million, no, a billion pieces. And you have no idea how to put them back together. And I pray that while you are down there in the depths, the only person that you have to keep you company is you. I pray that you choose to gather up the pieces and, with no idea and in what order, then begin to put them back together, one by one, just right. I pray for foundations mightier than the Acropolis, an inner light that shines so bright it dazzles the corneas of any eyes who cannot handle your bright. I pray for skin as comfortable as a 10-year-old tracksuit on a Saturday night, and an inner light so bright that you can always find your way home. I pray for the triumph of your soul and the return of you. I love that one because so many times when we're in our darkest moments and you're like, you need money or you need help or you need to get a hold of your mom or your best friend or someone to support you, and just nothing is coming in, it's often a sign that you're going through something where you are meant to reveal your own light again and to shine brighter and to find your own strength. It's so important to, yes, be supportive of ourselves and have support system, but to know that if you've made it to today, you've made it through 100% of your worst days. And there's a reason when support doesn't show up a lot of the times. It's because we have it within us, and it's a bit of an initiation. So earlier when you were talking about looking back and, seeing where you were before, if you're in a space right now where you haven't grown and you're not able to reflect upon that, know that even sometimes our darkest moments are happening for us.
I have to also say, because some of these people are my friends on Facebook, and so Heather Harold, I hope you were paying attention to that. Um, she just lost somebody very, very important to her in a very tragic type of situation, and so she's a little bit lost right now. And
Mm.
so I really feel like a lot of what you were um, destined to read that or in tune to read that or whatever. I think that a lot of that had to do with her and specifically what she may be going through along with everybody else, because it was absolutely beautiful. But she's really going to be struggling probably over the next couple years with picking things back up for herself and also learning her own power within. But she didn't ask for this, and it's hard, especially when that's not the course of what we saw that our life was going to be. And
Mm.
so it becomes so drastic to our soul to lose somebody in such a traumatic way when we didn't see anything coming. It's like getting hit by a bus and not knowing that that was going to be the course change in our life, which is completely tragic and it's filled with trauma. But just like we were talking about, I also think Heather has had such an up and down battle throughout her whole entire life. It's been a lot of battles, a lot of climbing, a lot of falling, a lot of picking ourselves back up. And sometimes people experience a little bit rougher roads. And I feel like she's had to pick herself up so many times that that starts to get exhausting. And so I feel like right now her soul's a little exhausted. And so now is a time to really stop and not necessarily even reflect, Heather. Like, don't even reflect. Just sit in the moment and allow yourself to feel and grieve if you want to grieve. If you can't grieve right now because you're still in shock, which I could see how you would be in shock, understand that that's also part of the process, and give yourself a lot of love, a lot of hugs. Like, you know, look up tapping. Mandy is the one that taught me about tapping, and I got to tell you, when my heart is hurting or when something's going on or there's healing coming to the surface, or if I'm sitting there and I'm in a deep crying because something brought something up, and I allow myself to be there and I don't try to rush through it and I don't try to fight the process of what's taking place because I don't want to feel those feelings. Allow yourself to feel the feelings and put your hand on your heart and kind of beat to the beat of your heart. Pull yourself back in, allow yourself to feel and allow yourself to grieve, and really let him be with you in that moment and hold your hand through that grieving process, because no matter how far away he feels right now, he's still right there with you. I would love to be able to channel him, hun, but I can't because it's just too soon. It just happened. He probably is still in shock also because it wasn't something that he saw coming. Also, somebody who's a pretty stubborn type of dude and probably was just experience a lot more pain prior to his passing than what he understood he was feeling. So there was a lot of reflecting, understanding, and getting to for you as well as him and everybody else involved. And that's one of the reasons why I love spirit channels the way that they do through me, because I give them the ability to be completely honest with their feelings. And it's not all peaches and daisies for them, just like it's not all peaches and daisies for you. They still take their ego with them. That's part of who they are. That's part of the soul construct. And, he didn't want to leave you either. And so please just remember that you guys are holding your hands together. Take one step at a time, sit on the couch and cry if you need to, allow him to be there, but just know that he's holding your hand also, okay? And I just want to give you so much love, so support, and just tell you so many condolences for what your experience is right now. I feel so much for you and your family. I am so sorry that this happened to you guys.
Hmm. And I'm just sending you love too, Heather. That is not fun. That is not easy. And the silver lining is, we are human, so we just got to feel exactly what's coming through as it's coming through. And grief is a very human emotion we cannot escape. But there is also an opportunity too to build trust with spirit a little bit and with yourself and build that communication, because we are all infinite, and this is one short lifetime in our many books of lifetime. And when we get back to the non-physical, we're reunited and we're connected and we're held with one another. And our ancestors and our loved ones do come in and give us messages and they're your own unique language with them if you let it. And it's not fun and it's not easy, but it's an important time to, if you want, just trust that there's something way bigger going on, and that, the soul who you're missing, needed to be of service in another realm or lifetime or existence. And I believe very much we choose when we come, and we often choose when we leave. We choose when we leave and when we come. And there's always these interesting contracts at play that we don't necessarily know down here in this world at this time. But if we just say, you know what, this is horrible, this sucks, this is not fun, this is not okay. However, I'm just going to take a breath and I'm just going to be present. Like Crystal was saying, let everything come through me. And you know what? Maybe I'll explore a little trust and see if I get some signs or signals or things come in. So I just want you to know that we are wrapping you in loads and loads of love and light. And I am feeling called to pull Heather a card. This is
Good.
from
She needs it. She deserves it. I'll put it that way. I won't say need because that's an ugly energy, but she deserves it. She's a wonderful human for a lot of people in this kind of rocker. So
Yeah. So you got Star Mother. How can you mother yourself at this time? Which, goes kind of in with that, I pray that you hit rock bottom, and it starts in small steps. It starts with, okay, I cried a lot today. How much water did I drink? Can I get some water down at this time? Can I take a few breaths? Can I eat something? Can I, what? Can I let myself laugh? Like, this thing just happened, and even though I'm grieving, that was really funny. So I'm going to laugh at that right now, because I'm seeing some light coming around and some people really helping to be supportive during this transition. But the best thing you can do at this time is to mother yourself. And this card represents Mother Mary, who, comes in, and she is there to rock and hold all of us at any time that we want, and you can call upon her. But it's just an opportunity when you don't know what to do, when there's nothing else going on outside of you that's giving you clear answers. Take a breath and say, okay, how can I mother myself? What can I do? Oh, Heather said she gave herself a beach day to try to ground last weekend. That's perfect.
good for you, hon.
You knew, like, all right, I need to at least ground, and you took the action steps and you went out there and you did that. And that's just fantastic. So sending you loads and loads of love.
I am going to go back
I was
to
just
some
going
of
back
the
up too.
other ones because there was
Perfect.
somebody else who had a question, and that would have been a great one for a card. Um, I have recently had a big change in direction in my life. I have a lot of anxiety, and I'm wondering if I'm on the right path. Oh, that was Heather. Sorry. I'm reading the other person's. I feel like I need to change somewhere, but don't know what to change. Work path, question mark, and that's Tina Sargent. So I thought that would be a good one for you to maybe pull a card for.
Tina. Tina, you got
Mm.
boundaries. Where do you need to establish better boundaries? So, a lot of times when big changes come in, that can create chaotic energy and we lose our path, we lose our focus or our devotion sometimes. And when anxiety is coming up, it's because there's just things not feeling in alignment. Doesn't mean that the big change in this direction isn't meant for you. It just means that it's important for you to get really clear on what it is that, oh, you know what? I read that wrong a little bit too. I was reading Heather's comment again too. Okay, so this change it's going to bring in for Tina. Okay, that's what I was. Okay, perfect. That's what I was seeing. It jumped up a tiny bit, but I wanted to make sure I was reading it right. So the boundaries that are coming up for you, it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but that's why your work path is kind of at question at this time. There's a lot of energy being taken from you in different directions, Tina, even just at home or with certain things. And I'm hearing a lot of don't say yes when you really mean no. Putting up time, like I'm seeing like maybe even someone on the phone a lot with you too much, or needing to put the phone down a little bit or take some time in order to pull in yourself and what that looks like. And the way to get clearest on like where the change needs to be is what's taking your energy, what's taking the most of your energy, what's giving you the anxiety, what's making you feel a little bit overwhelmed, what's making you feel like this change is coming. Is it an exciting thing? Is there like, oh, you're being really called forward to do some sort of creative project, but maybe someone's not supporting you as much? And that can be a boundary for a lot of people where it's like, hey, you know what? Like, I love and appreciate you, but I also am really into this project or this idea right now. And I just can't deal with, you not being supportive of it. So unless you're going to be supportive of what I'm choosing to do right now, then that's important. They are just showing a little bit with work. There's a lot rising in your heart energy and a lot of wanting to be of service more with something that's in alignment for you, Tina. So I'm getting a yes, potential with work stuff, but also just start small. Start small with your boundaries at home in the day-to-day life in the different places where you feel like they're just showing you're needing to pull in your energy a little bit more for yourself at this time. And then it's going to reveal what change is for you. Also, with the work thing, they are showing me like two potential lines as well of something that does feel more in alignment, maybe even a promotion where you're currently at or a different type of position. And then also an opportunity of something it looks like through talking or through networking. And it has to do with something that you're maybe a little bit passionate about. So to like keep your ears open and listen for that. But start right now with the boundaries. And when you start putting in the boundaries of what doesn't feel good or right, and you can do boundaries in a really healthy way for everybody listening. It can be like I said, if you have someone who's calling you or texting you all the time and you love them and you care about them, but you're not able to mother yourself or do your own healing, then it's important to say something like, hey, you know what? I love you so much. I care about what's going on, but I need to take this time for me right now. And can I call you tomorrow? Can we have, tea at 4:00? Things like that. Boundaries don't have to be like a really radical or unhealthy thing. It can be like, I need to go to bed at a certain time because I need a certain amount of time of sleep each night. Like, boundaries can be anything with yourself, but they're showing for you, Tina, it's important to establish your boundaries right now, where they're at, where they're being tested, and then it's going to show you exactly where you want and need to make the change at this time. So start there is what your angels are saying.
It was funny because, like, when you were pulling the card, I was like, "Boundaries." But it was funny because they were making me feel like she's already been down the boundaries path for a while. I think it might get a little bit harder for her, though, is how they're giving it to me. They're making me feel like things are pushing against those boundaries a little bit. So everything that you said, I was like, "Yeah, that's kind of fun." Tarot and things, please stop commenting on our post. If you want clients, then get your own. Knock it off. It's rude and it's gross. Bad energy. Okay. We don't go to people and ask them. We're not poaching people. So stop doing it for us. Thank you. I keep muting you and you keep finding a way to hop on here. So
It's okay. So anybody who's tuning in, tune on in. So that's the thing, the boundaries. So like the most compassionate people in the world have the firmest boundaries. And the more compassionate you get more present you get with yourself, the like stricter they have to be, and the more they get tested. Like I said, even if it's just like making sure you can get yourself to bed at a certain time, or feed yourself certain things, or drink enough water, or all of that good stuff. Like, the boundaries are where it starts a lot of the time, because that's where we feel our energy frequencies. And when they're not in alignment, if they're in alignment, things feel peaceful, they feel smooth, you want to move forward with things. If you start to get anxious, or if things are taking your energy or draining you or making you feel tired, then that's an opportunity to put in a little bit of a plug, and that's where the boundary is, in order for you to call back your power to yourself. Then when you do that, you get really clear on what the next best step is for you. But it's hard, especially when you're a compassionate person.
Okay, so now it's funny because we're talking about boundaries and then we have like crazy things happening on our thing. So, boundaries. See, guys, everybody has boundaries. We all have to create boundaries and we all have to be like, stop, it's annoying. See, this is how Crystal deals with it. Not always graceful. Anywho, moving on. Trisha, we're going to go to you right now because it says such a great topic. Any pointers to just start moving forward? And I'm going to tell you, your guides are actually blowing you kisses and giving love yous while also lifting you up right now, which means that you've actually taken a lot of steps in the right direction over the past 2 years of your life. They're really making me feel like the path change has actually taken place probably a little bit longer than the last 2 years of your life, because I feel like you've been on that mountain and climbing this whole entire time. But they're also making me feel like you're a whole lot like me, in the sense that you kind of doubt the direction that you're going sometimes because there's a lot of things that get mucked up in your path. And so please know that you have been on the right path. You have been moving in the right direction. You have been doing all of those things. Right now, they're taking and they're placing a bubble of protection around you, which usually is a symbolization to me that right now they're giving you a lull in your space to see what you really want and fine tune all of those goals that you've kind of worked towards for the past couple years. They're making me feel like they're giving you a lull in space right now just to make sure that this is still where you want to go and this is still the right path, because I feel like you're in a couple different places where you can kind of change direction, not necessarily altogether, but they're making me feel like you can kind of sidestep and go on a little bit different of a path change within what you've already been doing. And so, no, not necessarily. I think you have been making the right moves. You have been taking the right steps. And I think right now you just need to sit within yourself and kind of reflect on what that's been for you, all of the things that you've grown through, because they're really making me feel like you had to close a lot of doors to get to where you are right now. And sometimes we don't reflect just on how much that meant to us in our growth. And I feel like you need to really reflect on who you are today versus who you were before, because you were always a beautiful person. You were always a wonderful, healing, vibrative soul. But they're also making me feel like some of it didn't always come easy and you had to work really hard for some of that growth. And that was a little like uncomfortable for you. And so reflect on that a little bit, because sometimes when we look at our past and we're like, ugh, I really wish I didn't have to do that, or I wish I didn't have to do that. Sometimes we have to spin that a Rubik's Cube of our imagination and our brain to see it in a more positive light for what it's actually growing for us. And so just because you're not exactly where you want to be right now, don't stop, because you are working towards that goal. Also, they're making me feel like you see angel sequence numbers all over the place. So please just know that that is them and that is helping you on your path to self discovery, and pay attention to those, which I already think you do. They are making me feel like you're a little bit more analytical, because they're taking my head and they're kind of spreading it down the middle, which sounds gross, but it's not. It just means that sometimes our intuition gets overshadowed by our brain. And so they're asking you to kind of calm your brain down and retrain it a little bit to kind of give yourself the uplifting, the love, and the honor that you need during your day, instead of kind of breaking that up with the monotony of what old brain says versus what new intuition is trying to bring to you. Okay. So, congratulations. Good job. You are working very hard. And I do think that it's all going to start coming together for you. But really take this time, because I also think that they're giving that time to you right now before it gets a little bit more crazy and before it gets a little bit more busy in your life. So, just know you're working everything the way that it needs to be right now. If they could give you a little bit of a change in your path, they're saying don't jump on anybody else's path. And that usually means to me, whether it be friends, family, lovers, it doesn't really matter, relationships or relationships. Sometimes we tend to hop onto the other people's life paths, specifically us empaths on steroids, because we really want to help everybody be the best versions of themselves we can be. And so we forget that journeys are two separate paths going side by side within a 5 to 10 mile radius of each other. So sometimes you'll be up front, sometimes you'll be behind, but we cannot jump on the other person's train of happiness, dreams, adventures, love, respect, all those things. We can't do that because they can't possibly know what our journey is. And so sometimes we have to kind of separate and make sure that we stay on our path instead of putting their path first for all of the things going on with us. And so once you kind of separate yourself and you allow yourself to really reflect on what you are, who you are, and what you really want going forward, and it can be something as simple as like, no, I want like a pink Jeep. That's my path. That's my choice. I want the pink Jeep, and just sticking to that for yourself. Sometimes it's something so small, but to the universe, it's so big. So don't second guess what those things are, and don't give up any more of your adventures for anybody else, okay? They are giving you lots of love, and they're raising you up and letting you know. Just be calm, because we got lots of anxiety processing in us right now. So if I could give you any bit of advice, I would also say ground yourself a little bit more, because they are making me feel like the energies and all the transformations that are planetary taking place right now are kind of shifting things out of whack for you, just because you are so sensitive to all those energies. And so just make sure that you take some time to really ground yourself, call in the angels, ask them to surround yourself with that beautiful blue bubble, like Mandy says, and also make sure that you're just allowing the energy in and transmute that in any way, possible shape or form that you can. And then sit with yourself and love yourself, because I think you really need to really sit with yourself and love yourself right now. And that's going to help you on your path to discovery and whatever it is that comes to your doorstep next. So I hope that helps.
Oh, that was so beautiful. I saw a comment from Sophia saying that she recently started using tarot cards for simple pulls, and she keeps getting cards telling her to use her creativity and to maybe start a new business. She
Mm-hmm.
makes a lot of money in her job and she's a provider, but she would also love to be her own boss. And said, hopefully, I'm not reading my cards wrong. And right away, I'm just getting green lights, and they're showing that
Mm-hmm.
it's very much going to be up to you. You're already your own boss. You're already making decisions about what you want to be. Yes, you're working for someone else right now, but you have, this income that's coming in that's providing, the life that you're wanting and having and creating at this time. But it's okay to explore your creativity and to see what that could bring. They are showing that it looks like it's a pretty big yes, that they're giving you the signs, and you can trust that you're not reading your cards wrong at this time, and the feelings that you're getting from them and the messages you're receiving are correct. I am going to use my pendulum. Pendulums are one of my favorite tools. If you don't have one already, I encourage you to. For mine, I just say, this is my neutral. Show me neutral. Show me yes. Yes goes forward, back and forth. Show me neutral. Neutral is a circle. And then show me no. No goes back and forth, side to side. So show me neutral. Sophia, is Sophia, angels, are you with Sophia and I at this time? Yes, thank you. Show me neutral. Is Sophia able to interpret her cards correctly at this time? Should she consider using her creativity to start a new venture at some point? We're getting a yes. So they're just showing yes, that you absolutely deserve to trust your creativity that's coming through, and you don't have to jump off the ship right now. You can let it all just percolate little by little, and let yourself explore this creative energy as it comes in, and continue. The angels are showing, continue to pull yourself cards, because they're guiding you in the right direction at this time. And it's not something to create fear or scarcity or worry. It's just an opportunity to explore a new aspect of yourself, and trust that you'll be equally successful if you choose to eventually separate and do that new business all on your own and be your own boss. You're already a boss in so many ways in your life, they're showing right now, and that's meant to grow you and carry you forward. So these energies, they're happening for you to get a little bit more curious and to push yourself out of the box you're in at this time and see which way you can expand it. We're always constantly expanding and shattering our own boxes. So the angels are very much on your side about that, and they're not giving you the wrong signs.
Love that. I think that like the next time, like the first half hour, instead of chatting, I think we need to do like a pendulums with Mandy, so she can teach us all how to correctly use a pendulum. Mine always lie to me. They'll give me my name right, and that's pretty much it. They always lie about stuff. So I'm like, okay, I just give up.
That's
Give up.
hilarious. We just got to
And
teach you how to work your tool. Because when you just let it be, it's really the angel. It's like a conduit. It's like Reiki energy. Just like they take over it for you. So we could
I don't know.
definitely.
They've been really spot on with a lot of stuff, just not my stuff. I think they think that I'm like, I don't trust my own gut. I feel like that's what it is. So they're like, "No, we've already told you the answer. You already know what this is. Patience. Stop, reflect, and just let it be, Crystal." And so they're like, "Okay, whatever. Yes."
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Because if
I
we
know it's
we
a
harp
no,
on
but yes.
yeah, if we harp on it all the time or try to change the direction or this or that or want a different answer, like your angels aren't going to give it to you. They just give you the truth, whether you want it or not.
Fine.
Oh, Sophia
So
commented. She said, I love that. I'm hot right now. They're definitely here. Oh, good. Thank you. You're so welcome. And you're in tune and like let yourself enjoy that and get excited and creative about it because there's wonderful things coming in for you at this time.
there was Kim and Marjorie. Both of them were asking questions about people who pass.
Okay.
I don't know exactly. So first off, I'm going to say I don't know which one. I have a gentleman for one of you, and I'm trying to decipher when she was talking and using that beautiful pendulum. I was trying to decipher who it is that I have coming through for, like if it's you or if it's for her.
You want
But I have
help?
a gentleman that's stepping forward for me. He's giving to me throat issues specifically prior to his passing. I almost want to say that I think that he had like a tube down his throat prior to his taking his last breath because he's really making it raw for me and like hard to swallow. So I don't know if one of you had somebody that had to have like some kind of a intubation or something like that prior to their crossing over. But I do have a gentleman for one of you coming through. Okay, he is giving lots of love, which means to me that he wants you to know that he still loves you from where he is. He's also taking himself and like putting him over here, but he's like gripping my hand really tight, and he is making me feel like it took a lot for him to let go. Now, sometimes it does take a minute for us to let go, probably because he was very stubborn based on how he's giving this to me when he was here. Stubborn for a good way. I feel like he just who he was. Very funny guy though, great sense of humor. And what he's doing is he's making me feel like it was stubborn for him only because he was more of a protector for everybody. He's got a very dad-like energy, but I don't know if he's grandfather or dad. He's just got a very dad-like energy. But how he's presenting this to me is he is snapping his fingers, which means that his sickness would have came on very quickly, very unexpectedly, even though he knew he was sick for a long period of time. He is taking and going downhill very fast, which means to me that it would have just progressed very quickly for him, and nobody could do anything to stop or save this because he's tying my arms behind my back, which does mean to me that everybody's hands were essentially tied in the process and they couldn't change the direction of what it was going. He is getting back to why it took so long for him to actually be peaceful, is what he just said. Now, I just want you to know he's doing this like, yeah, I was good. It's okay. He's in head to toe numbness, which means that he was in a sleep state prior to his passing. And I do want to say he's very honest. I think he's very grateful that he was in that sleep state because he's making me feel like his body probably would have been under a certain amount of stress and pain. But he's also really making jokes over here about why he didn't want to let go. It really has nothing to do with him being scared of retribution, what's on the other side. He's making me feel like it was very scary for him because he was just hoping that he was going to wake up somewhere because he didn't want it to be all dark. And so what happened to him a couple days prior, he's giving me 48 hours, so that's like 2 days prior to, he's making me feel like he actually started seeing his loved ones in his sleep states. And that made it so much easier for him to cross. But he goes, but wait, there's more. He goes, but he also had to wait for somebody to have the conversation with him and get the closure that they needed. So somebody wasn't necessarily there for him when everybody else was because he's punching time cards, which means the family's around me, supporting me 100% of the time, on and off as much as they can. But somebody else lived a distance away and couldn't be there the way that they wanted to be there. Okay. So what he's doing is giving lots of love to them and making me feel like he had to know that they were safe, at peace, and okay with the closure that was taking place before he could take his last breath. So yes, this gentleman is 100% at peace. It is dad's side of the family. He is coming through as dad. So don't know if it's dad, but he's making me feel like he 100% was at peace after his crossing over. I feel like it was hard for him to allow you guys to be in control regarding his passing because he was just the man that liked to take care of everything in life. And so that was the hard transition for him. Um, I'm once again don't know who the heck I'm talking for, and I apologize. This I almost think that I have somebody else that's coming in. There is another person coming through on dad's side of the family. I think this is actually grandfather, not dad, but he's giving to me cancer because he's giving me different spots in my body which usually means to me it metastasizes and it turns into something that we don't know. He is making me feel like he had cancer, but it took a while for him to actually get diagnosed. So please know one of you also have a grandfather on dad's side of the family that's also coming through. He's passing a baton to you from his heart to yours, which does mean to me that he is coming through, and he wants you guys to know that you have a whole lot of strength, determination, and fire in your life to keep going and keep moving and do those things. He is patting somebody on the right hand side of the back, which also means that he has taken on a guide role for you. So please just know that you do have this beautiful grandfather on dad's side of the family that's taken on a guide role. More so because he was a little stubborn when he was here, and he's making me feel like he's making you utilize your voice a little bit from the spiritual realm. And so just know if you speak and you say things that are like awkward and you're not necessarily apt to saying those things, it's because grandpa's kind of putting that spine in you at the moment and teaching you how to speak out of love for yourself. Other than that, he gives you a round of applause, and he also lifts you up with love, which does mean to me that he wants you to know and understand that you are truly guided right now in all areas of your life going forward, because I think you've worked really hard to get here. And I feel like you think that you're still not moving very good, but you're moving really well, and you just need to give yourself a pat on the back, okay? Also, I feel like that's it for spirit, but I'm going to tell you that what they're doing is they're giving me this is guides for Marjorie. And also, Mandy, I don't know if you can chime in with this also, because Marjorie's second part of that was, will I ever be able to accept their passing? Now, Marjorie, I'm going to tell you, I would love to be able to answer that question for you. I'm a medium and I talk to spirit every single day. I can't answer that question for you, because it really is just a self-awareness. It's a self-healing, and it's a self-understanding. I'm going to tell you, they're making me feel like grieving, like counseling doesn't necessarily work with you. They're making me feel like you don't really like all of that. So Mandy, I don't know, she's wonderful at books. Do you have any books or anything that you might suggest to her when it comes to closure, understanding, and kind of knowing that spirit's on the other side? But also, Marjorie, please give yourself some serious love, because it is not easy losing people in a short period of time. That's a lot of tragedy, and that leaves quite the mark, okay? And so reaching out to somebody who can do some energy healing work on you and help you through some of those things might actually be the best thing for you right now, because it creates blockages that we aren't necessarily conscious that we're creating, because we don't want to go through the process of healing. Sometimes it does create blockages in us. And so maybe reaching out to somebody who's a Reiki or energy practitioner to help you move through those things and see them in a different light might actually help you out, and help you kind of come to terms with some of those things, because you're probably going to have to go back to the first person who crossed over and start the healing process all over again. Okay. They're making me feel like we're a little bit stuck in that, because there's a lot of pain. Okay. And there's also a lot of frustration because they're shaking their hands, which means you're very frustrated also at yourself for maybe not being there the way that you wanted to be there specifically for one person. And they're making me feel like you're holding a grudge with you, which is also hindering some of that growth process in yourself. And so they're really just trying to ignite light in you. I feel like you're frustrated because you're not receiving spirit's energy on your end, and you feel like they're not there, but they're also creating a wall in front of my heart, which means to me that sometimes in life we create barriers to not feel, because when we start to feel, it's too much, it's too heavy. And so we kind of shut that down and don't allow ourselves to process. It's not something we do to hate ourselves. It's not something you're doing on purpose. It's just kind of the natural rhythm when things get too much. That's how humans human. And so just know that I think you might need a different direction in the healing to kind of pull some of those things up to the surface to really start moving through. This is not something you've done to yourself, and it's just the course of what needs to take place. So give yourself love and a lot of time to process, okay?
Yeah, that's such beautiful advice. And acceptance is a thing that happens. It's really sacred. It's a thing that happens sacredly for us when we're ready. And a lot of times there's often great reward on the other side of fear. So when we experience a lot of loss and a lot of grief in our life, the one thing the angels have showed me is there is always, always purpose to our pain. As much as it sucks, as hard as some of the things that we go through, there is some sort of sacred purpose. And when we start to try to figure that out a little bit, I think it helps us to start moving into acceptance, because we're like, all right, there's a bigger thing happening. This was really shitty. This shouldn't happen. You know, I wish this didn't happen to me, but there's something else going on in there. And that's when you start to connect and you get a lot of signs and things like that. And you start to be present with yourself more. And if there's one thing the angels are showing, it's that you do deserve to enjoy your life right now and to enjoy as much peace and prosperity and abundance and new experiences as you can at this time. And the longest relationship that we have on this planet is the one with ourselves. And every other one, as wonderful as they can be, as beautiful as they can be, they're still all temporary compared to our own life path. We're born by ourselves pretty much with some help, and then we leave by ourselves or sometimes with some help if we're lucky. And so it's not an easy thing to go through. The angels are showing you're also really curious and you're really open to maybe bringing in some things about acceptance. I like a lot of Deepak Chopra's work with that. He talks about, he's got a book, Life After Death, which helps with that a little bit. Anita Majori, I always say her last name wrong, Dying to Be Me, talks about how she had crossed over and then saw what was all going on up there and came back for a while and whatnot. And so I just say, if you're open to that and if you're wanting acceptance and you're wanting signs and peace and purpose, start with taking a breath and just asking your angels, show me the truth, lead me, show me the way, show me exactly what this was all about or what happened, because I'm curious and I want to know at this time. And you know what? I've cried a lot, I've grieved a lot, I've dealt with the pain a lot. So you know what? I can handle it, because a lot of times we've already been through the worst of it. And when we face like the pain that's left over a little bit, it's just there to clear it up a little more and bring us back into peace now. So just know that the harder times are over and that anything you want to invite in, your angels will support you with. And you don't need to listen to anybody else pressure you. You just do what feels best for you, and your soul and your spirit will tell you. And you'll start getting the signs and feeling the feelings and opening up your mind in your own sacred way that feels right and feels in alignment for you.
Absolutely love it. That's why I asked, because I knew you'd have all that information. Spirit's like, blah, 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 and then Mandy, can you please knowledge her? You knowledge so well, and you read so well. It's like all those beautiful accompaniments of Mandy are just like there. I just wish I had the brain now. I feel like you're Jimmy Neutron. You just know all these amazing things, and they all come through so well for you. It's like, gosh, could I have a little piece of that, please?
And it comes in weird ways just because I'm living in alignment, or I'll be on YouTube or go down a rabbit hole, or like I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. So I read one of his books and I follow his stuff, and new things come in. And if you just let yourself, if someone suggests something for you right now, someone just texted me a YouTube. So there's probably something in there, a little nugget that they have no idea. They sent it to me, but I might be like, oh yeah, earlier today I was talking with Spirit and like was wondering about this. And this just answered that question. Whoa. So all of a sudden the path starts happening for you. No one can do it for you. You're the only one who feels the chills, who sees the 11:11s, who gets the signs, who, knows the moments that are happening when you're like, whoa, this just happened for me. This was crazy. So just keep showing up for yourself. Drink water, get a little sun and fresh air. Things get overwhelming, go to bed, get up, start over, try it again. You get to try new in each and every moment. And you are so held and you are so loved by Spirit, each and every one of us. And our angels are always there to help us. You just got to ask.
See, I think that's one of the things that I have found so healing in what it is that I do, because you start to understand just how big the space is over there and how many people have your back. So, like, when we're in a space of not moving forward in our own lives or in an unhealed version of ourselves, sometimes we feel very alone and we don't necessarily see the people around us. We think that, like, we have to be surrounded by this person, or why doesn't my mom support me? Why doesn't my dad do this for me? Why don't I have best friends? We get so stuck in that physicality thing that we forget so much about all the amazing people that we have working for our highest good on the other side, because it's not just our guides, it's not just these people. You have ancestors upon ancestors upon ancestors, and every person that you've come into contact with on this earth is also there for you. It's like a spider web point. It comes together, and that builds your life, and that creates all of what is happening around you. You may not be able to see it with your physical eyes, but it's taking place whether you can physically see it or not. And so you have all these people who are just joyously there waiting for your next move and waiting for you guys to connect with them and say, hey, this is something that I need. Could you guys please help me with this? Or thank you so very much for holding space with me while I cry. And thank you for holding me because nobody else is there for you. Maybe sometimes that's all you need is just say, hey, I thank the ancestors that are a part of my life for holding me and nurturing me in this moment. And we forget so much that we have all of them. It is such an incredible, amazing, I can't put into words what that feeling is once you truly understand that that's what's going on. It is so incredible.
I just love it. Well, I could stay here all night, but I have to
You
go.
can't.
Actually,
You have
I have
readings.
one more client to go tonight. Yeah. So
So
it's always such an honor holding space with you, Crystal, here on Spirit Speaks, and I just send love to all of you. Oh, Marjorie, hearts back, we're all on our own individual path, and all we can do is just tune into what resonates with us and feels right and most in alignment and get curious when we're ready. So, yes, please give us a like and a follow. You can find me on Sea Goddess Healing Arts. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We have a website, seagoddesshealingarts.com. I'm Mandeeelam. And Crystal, how can people find you?
I'm just going to give people my Spirit Speaks with Midmit Medium, and you can find me on YouTube. This will be posted on YouTube, and I am going to say the same thing. Please like and subscribe, specifically because I'm trying to build something awesome that will benefit everybody that pays attention. So I'm trying to give out this spiritual energy and be a teacher so you guys can help utilize your guides, gifts, and also energy around you. So give us both a like and follow. Go see Mandy on their Sea Goddess Healing Arts because there are so many cool things that they post. And specifically, I will always go back to the thing that they did, the healing, cleansing, I can't remember what it was, the crystal sound thing that you guys had when you lit up all of the chakras on your lighthouse. It's beautiful. You guys need to go see it. So thank you, Mandy, so much. I will see you guys all next week. Thank you, Mandy. Have a great reading with your new clients. I appreciate you. You guys have a great night. Bye.
Good night, guys. Thanks for tuning in.